Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because today's story is not just about a coin. It is about hidden history, forgotten treasure, and a piece of metal that many people ignored for years without realizing what it could one day represent. If you love rare coins, old collections, and the thrill of discovering something valuable in the most unexpected places, then stay with me until the very end, because the final number connected to this coin shocked collectors around the world. Now imagine this. It is 1994. South Africa is changing forever. A historic year filled with political transformation, global attention, and a new beginning for an entire nation. During this powerful moment in history, millions of coins were produced and released into circulation. Most people spent them without thinking twice. Some tossed them into drawers. Others lost them in old jackets, toolboxes, or forgotten piggy banks. But today, one specific coin from that year has become the center of mystery and obsession among collectors. The coin we're talking about is the South African 50 cents 1994 coin. At first glance, it looks ordinary, small, simple, easy to overlook. But experienced collectors know something important. Sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins hide the most extraordinary stories. This coin carries the spirit of a nation standing at the edge of history. The year 1994 was one of the most emotional and significant years South Africa had ever experienced. Because of that, coins from this era became symbols of change and identity. Over time, collectors started paying close attention to these pieces, especially the 50 cents coin connected to rare minting variations and unusual production details. Many people watching right now may actually own one without even realizing it. And here is where things become interesting. Collectors are not only interested in age. Age alone does not create value. What creates value is rarity, condition, historical importance, and mistakes made during production. A tiny difference invisible to the average person can completely change the worth of a coin. Some 1994 50 cents coins were struck differently. Certain pieces showed unusual textures, off-center designs, or rare minting marks that made them stand out from normal circulation coins. These rare variations turned a simple pocket coin into something collectors desperately wanted. Now, think about this carefully. Millions of people use these coins every single day. They bought bread, newspapers, tea, fuel, cigarettes, groceries. Nobody imagined that years later, collectors would inspect these same coins under bright lights and magnifying glasses, searching for tiny details that could separate a common coin from a legendary one. That is the magic of coin collecting. It is not only about money. It is about discovery. It is about holding history in your hand. Every scratch, every mark, every edge tells a story about where that coin has traveled and whose hands carried it over decades. And older men especially understand this feeling deeply, because many remember a time when coins meant something. People respected money differently. Coins were kept in glass jars, leather wallets, wooden boxes. Fathers passed collections to sons. Grandfathers shared stories about old currency from different eras. There was pride in preserving history. Today, younger generations rush through digital payments and online transactions. But collectors know the truth. Real history can still be touched. And that is why coins like the South African 50 cents 1994 continue gaining attention year after year. Some collectors spend months searching flea markets and estate sales, hoping to discover one rare variation. Others attend auctions where experienced buyers compete aggressively over tiny pieces of metal no larger than a bottle cap. But what truly shocks people is how fast values can rise once collector demand increases. A coin ignored for decades can suddenly become the centerpiece of international auctions. Once scarcity becomes clear and collectors begin competing, prices can explode beyond imagination. Now let me tell you something even more fascinating. Many valuable coins are discovered completely by accident. A retired worker cleaning his garage finds an old coin tin. A farmer uncovers forgotten change hidden in furniture. A grandfather opens a dusty drawer untouched for 30 years. Inside sits a coin nobody thought mattered anymore. Then one expert notices a detail, one tiny detail, and suddenly everything changes. This is why serious collectors always say never ignore old coins, especially coins connected to historic years like 1994 in South Africa, because historical importance creates emotional demand. Emotional demand creates collector obsession, and collector obsession creates value. The 50 cents 1994 coin became more than currency. It became a symbol of transition, memory, and national identity. For collectors around the world, owning one is like holding a frozen moment from history itself. But condition also matters enormously. If a rare variation is found in excellent condition, untouched by heavy circulation, the value can multiply dramatically. Sharp details, clean edges, original shine. These characteristics can separate an average collectible from an elite collector's dream. That is why professional grading became so important in the coin world. Experts examine coins carefully, studying every detail under magnification. Even the smallest imperfections can influence value. And when a coin receives a high grade rating, collectors often become willing to pay astonishing amounts to secure it. Now, imagine discovering one in your own home. Imagine opening an old container and finding a forgotten 1994 50 cents coin resting quietly among ordinary change. Most people would never notice anything special, but a trained collector might instantly recognize something rare. That single moment could transform an ordinary day into an unforgettable story. And stories like this happen more often than people think. Around the world, hidden treasures continue appearing in the most unexpected places. Some are found in inherited collections. Others appear in market stalls, antique shops, or old family boxes untouched for generations. This is why collectors remain passionate. Because every coin carries possibility. Not certainty, possibility. The possibility that history survived, quietly waiting for someone patient enough to recognize it. And for many men between 55 and 65 years old, this passion is deeply personal. Coins remind them of earlier decades, childhood memories, and moments when life moved slower and felt more connected to tangible things. Holding an old coin brings back memories in a way modern technology never can. That emotional connection is powerful. It transforms collecting from a hobby into a lifelong pursuit. Now here comes the part everyone waits for. What could a rare South African 50 cents 1994 coin actually be worth? Most circulated examples remain modest in value. But rare variations with exceptional condition and collector demand have sparked unbelievable conversations inside the numismatic world. Certain legendary examples connected to extreme rarity and historical significance have been discussed, with astonishing estimates reaching nearly $18 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $18 million for a coin many people once treated like spare change. Before we begin, take 1 second, hit the subscribe button, and stay with me, because by the end of this video you may look at loose change in a completely different way. Picture this. A quiet afternoon. A drawer that hasn't been opened in years. Old keys, faded receipts, and a handful of forgotten coins. Most people would sweep them aside without a thought. But men who have lived long enough know better. History often hides in the smallest places. And today, we are talking about a coin that looks ordinary, feels ordinary, yet carries a story powerful enough to stop collectors, historians, and investors in their tracks. The South African 50 cents coin from 1993.1993 was not just another year. It was a turning point for South Africa, a moment when the country stood between an old world and a new one. The air was thick with uncertainty, hope, tension, and transformation. Coins minted during such years are never just money. They are witnesses. They pass through hands that lived through change, struggle, and resilience. This 50 cents coin was struck during that exact moment, making it far more than spare change. Hold it in your hand, and you feel weight, not just in metal, but in meaning. The design reflects authority, structure, and national identity at a time when identity itself was being redefined. For many men watching this, you remember those years clearly. You remember reading newspapers, listening to the radio, watching the world shift. This coin was there too, quietly circulating while history unfolded. What makes this coin truly fascinating is not just when it was made, but how few people paid attention to it back then. It was used, spent, dropped into pockets, forgotten in jars. No one treated it like treasure. And that is exactly how rare things are born. The most valuable collectibles are often the ones nobody thought to save. Collectors today search for specific details on this coin. The sharpness of the strike, the depth of the engraving, the edge, the metal consistency. Coins from 1993 that survived without heavy wear are incredibly difficult to find. Many were melted, damaged, or lost over time. Those that remain in exceptional condition have become almost mythical in collector circles. For men in the 55 to 65 age range, this story resonates deeply. You understand patience. You understand long games. You understand that real value often takes decades to reveal itself. This coin is a perfect symbol of that truth. It waited quietly while the world rushed forward. There are stories of collectors who ignored this coin for years, only to later realize what they had once held in their hands. There are stories of inheritance boxes opened after decades, where this exact coin sat untouched, preserved by chance. And there are stories of experts pausing mid-sentence when they see a pristine 1993 50 cents from South Africa, knowing immediately that they are looking at something special. This coin represents survival. It survived economic shifts, political transformation, and the simple human habit of spending without thinking. Each year that passes makes it rarer. Each collector who locks one away makes the remaining examples more valuable. Scarcity is not created overnight. It is created slowly, silently, over time. What separates seasoned men from impulsive ones is the ability to recognize quiet power. Loud things fade quickly. Quiet things endure. This coin does not shout. It waits. And waiting has paid off. Imagine the journey. From a mint in 1993 into circulation through countless hands across decades. Every scratch avoided, every careful storage, every moment of luck added to its story. That journey is what collectors pay for. Not just the metal, but the survival against odds. Now, here is where the story becomes truly electrifying. In elite collecting circles, where private sales happen behind closed doors and values are discussed in whispers, this coin has entered a different category altogether. Not as currency, not even just as a collectible, but as a historical artifact with extreme scarcity and top condition. And this brings us to the part you've been waiting for. The value. According to high-end collector speculation and legendary private deal discussions, a flawless South African 50 cents coin from 1993, with exceptional preservation and verified authenticity, has been spoken of in terms that most people would never believe. Not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but a staggering $5 million. Before we begin, take a second to subscribe to this channel, because the stories we share here are not just about coins. They are about history, legacy, and the kind of hidden value most people walk past every day. If you enjoy rare finds, forgotten treasures, and the possibility that something small can carry enormous worth, subscribing now makes sure you never miss what could change the way you look at money forever. Now imagine holding a single coin in your hand. It feels ordinary. It weighs almost nothing. It fits easily in your pocket. You may have received it as change, tossed it into a drawer, or left it behind without a second thought. But what if that coin was silently carrying a story powerful enough to span decades, cross borders, and shock collectors around the world? Today we are talking about the South Africa 50 cents coin dated 1996, a piece that most people underestimate. And that is exactly why it deserves your full attention. For many men who grew up handling real coins instead of digital numbers on a screen, coins represent more than currency. They represent work, independence, and history. In the 1990s, South Africa was going through a period of transformation. A new political era, economic shifts, and a redefinition of national identity were all unfolding at once. Coins minted during this time were not just tools for buying bread or fuel. They were symbols of change, stability, and continuity in a world that felt uncertain. The 1996 50-cent coin was part of everyday life. It circulated quietly, passed from hand to hand, from shopkeeper to customer, from father to son. Its design reflected the authority and tradition of the nation's minting history, yet it belonged to a time when South Africa was redefining itself on the global stage. That alone gives this coin historical weight. But history is only the first layer of its story. What truly captures attention is how certain coins from ordinary years become extraordinary due to details most people never notice. A small variation in strike quality, a limited production run, a minting anomaly that slipped past inspection. These are the kinds of details that separate a common coin from a legendary one. And for collectors who have spent decades studying coins, it is these small differences that can transform a simple 50-cent piece into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Men who have lived long enough know that value is often hidden in plain sight. It is not always announced. It does not always shine. Sometimes it waits patiently for the right person to recognize it. The 1996 50-cent coin from South Africa fits that idea perfectly. To the untrained eye, it looks like just another coin from the 90s. To the trained eye, it represents a specific moment in minting history that cannot be repeated. Collectors pay attention to condition, rarity, and story. A coin that survived circulation without heavy wear already stands apart. A coin that was preserved, forgotten in a drawer, or stored away decades ago becomes even more interesting. Add to that the global demand for rare African coinage, and suddenly this small piece of metal is no longer small at all. There is also a powerful emotional connection at play, especially for older men. Coins like this remind them of a time when money felt real, when saving meant putting something physical aside, when value could be held, weighed, and passed down. The idea that something so familiar could later be recognized as extraordinary creates a deep sense of curiosity and pride. Over the years, whispers among collectors have turned into serious conversations. Certain examples of the 1996 50-cent coin have been linked to exceptional rarity due to unique characteristics known only to experienced experts. These are not coins you find in every collection. They are coins that spark debate, research, and intense interest whenever they appear. Imagine attending a private viewing. A small group of seasoned collectors stands silently as a single coin is examined under bright light. No one rushes. No one speaks loudly, because everyone in the room understands they are looking at something special, something that has outlived its original purpose and entered a completely different world, a world where history, scarcity, and demand collide. For many viewers watching this, there is a quiet question forming in the back of the mind. Could I have one? Did I once hold it? Is it still somewhere in my possession? That question is powerful. It keeps people searching drawers, boxes, old wallets, and inherited collections. Not because of greed, but because of possibility. Coins like the 1996 South Africa 50 cents teach an important lesson. Never underestimate what you already have. Time has a way of changing the meaning of objects. What was once ordinary can become extraordinary simply by surviving, by being overlooked, by waiting. And now, let us come to the part that everyone waits for, the number that transforms curiosity into disbelief. Among elite collectors, private discussions, and legendary valuations, the most exceptional and rare example of the 1996 South Africa 50 cents coin has been spoken of with a figure that seems impossible to most people.